Good evening. You're watching Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by Notilesi Tole. First up, let's have a look at tonight's headlines. The acting minister of ICT has tasked the new Eswatini TV board to ensure that all people in the kingdom and especially students access critical content like home study programs at all times. Form 5 students will receive their results first ahead of Form 3 and Grade 7 this year. The High Court has ordered that 4 companies owned by businessman Makawe Gama be liquidated. And now the news in detail. The acting minister of ICT, Mangoba Khumalo, has tasked the new Eswatini TV board of directors to ensure that home learning programs continue being broadcasted for all pupils in Eswatini to benefit while schools are closed. We have a report.
Chief Siqinisa Dlamini is the new chairperson of the board. What makes me happy is that this is not the first time he is serving on the board of ESTVA. Number 2, Prince Msindazwe. Prince Msindazwe has also served in the board in the past. Number 3, Mr. Bertram Stewart, who is the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Education. And number 4, it is the Under Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Ntombi Futi Sugati. The underlisted members shall continue to serve on the board. First of all, it is Princess Ngenge. Secondly, Mr. Mduduzi Ngumalo. Thirdly, Mr. Thokozani Ngumalo and Mr. Mxolisi Fagudze. I want to, as I conclude, wish the new chairman all the best of luck and state that the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is always open if you want to reach out for any kind of advice, any kind of direction, or any kind of consultation. Please do not hesitate through the PS at the Ministry of ICT to reach out to government.
Sethembise ngokuthi nathi sitawufaka amandla ngokuthi lo msebenzi siwende ngokwethembeka nangekudimisela.
The acting minister of ICT, Mangoba Khumalo, has applauded outgoing Eswatini TV CEO Bongani Dlamini for transforming the institution and for playing a leading role in ensuring that it adopts digital systems to keep up with international standards. The minister says Dlamini's vast experience in broadcasting helped transform the television broadcaster to become what it is today.
The acting minister of ICT, Mangoba Khumalo, has applauded the outgoing CEO of Eswatini TV, Bongani Dlamini, for the role he has played in transforming Eswatini TV and bringing positive changes in the institution. Khumalo says through his hard work and experience, he was recognized and appointed as the vice chairperson of the SADC Broadcasting Board of Directors.
Mr. Dlamini leaves valuable, or rather invaluable experience with the team that remains, and he also takes with him a lot of invaluable experience, which we hope and encourage that he will be able to impart to the new CEO. Please join me in thanking him and also wishing him very well in his new endeavors. Mr. Dlamini has made a lot of improvements at the station when it comes to issues of content, what the television station shows to the nation. He has also made incredible improvements in terms of licensing, revenue collection, as well as corporate governance.
The outgoing Eswatini TV CEO Bongani Dlamini thanked their Majesties, government, Emaswati and previous board of directors for working and advising him as CEO all the time. He says he worked in honesty all the time, even at a time when the institution faced financial challenges that existed for a long time.
Lamagama lawa ngiwashiya nalamalunga lahloniphekile kwekuthi articles asebenze ngokwethembeka la athunywe i-public office bawenze lo msebenzi bathi ukuthi live leli liphethwe ngamakhosi nasheleni nazuka matters much to the state because imali yelive umsebenzi kuhlonile wathi ukuthi uthunywe live awukathunywa bangani bakho sonke silasikhona khona nje sangisebenza ngemngani sasebenza ngeqiniso.
He says it is not that they cannot execute their duties, but they have been for the longest time working in paying existing debts. He says the core mandate of the institution is to broadcast news from the palace, promoting and driving government's plans and activities, as well as being the voice of Eswatini. He then urged the new board members to work in honesty and unity at all times as he did. I am Kian Msibi at the Happy Valley Eswatini.
Form 5 results will be the first to be released this year, Examinations Council of Eswatini Registrar Dr. Edmund Mazibuko has announced. He says this is being done to enable pupils who have completed their high school education to have enough time to apply for admission in institutions of higher learning.
All the grades that wrote external examinations last year will have their results before the end of next month. These are Standard 5s, Form 3s and Form 5s. However, Registrar of the Examinations Council of Eswatini, Dr. Edmund Mazibuko, says unlike the previous years where Standard 5 results were released first, this year the Form 5s will receive their results first.
After having finished the marking of the EPC and JC, we then started now processing the results of the GCSE examinations. We've held our meetings with Cambridge Assessment, our grading meetings last week, where we were looking at the performance in the different subjects in the GCSE examinations. This week we did the grade review process, which took 2 days, and now we're in the process of checking now the student marks and the fact that all students' marks, have been captured, and then we'll go on to the process now of processing the results and having meetings now, management first, and then council, and then later on we will then present the results to the Minister of Education. This year our plan is to release the GCSE results first before we release the other results, followed by the EPC results and then the junior certificate results.
Mazibuko says it is not yet easy to determine the pass rate since the process towards the release of the results has not been completed. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Wendlangamandla with Muzim Konda in Babane.
The High Court has ordered that Souk On-Time Investment, Souk Logistics, Souk Construction and MTG Investment be liquidated. Kobla Kwashi has been appointed as the liquidator. This follows a successful application filed by the Central Bank of Eswatini and the Financial Services Regulatory Authority against these companies.
The court has issued a final order in the Souk On-Time Investments matter, which has been a thorn in the eye for many Emaswati. In this matter, the Central Bank of Eswatini filed a report which stated that this company, as well as Souk Logistics, Souk Construction and MTG Investments, all violated the Financial Institutions Act of 2005. Also cited in the report is Matawe Gama, who is the director of the companies and fingered to have also conducted business within the financial sector in breach of the Act. The central bank found that the business model was such that members of the public were invited to invest in the purchase of photocopying machines by depositing money into the bank accounts of the companies. The photocopying machines would then be leased by the companies to various third parties who in turn paid them rentals on agreed terms. Souk On-Time Investments was found to have a general dealer trading license which does not allow the conducting of banking business or deposit taking. The report from the central bank states that funds deposited by investors into Suk on time investments FNB bank account amounted to over 27 million emalangeni. However, just over 20 million emalangeni was returned to them. The High Court then ordered that the 4 companies be placed under provisional compulsory liquidation in terms of the Financial Institutions Act of 2005. Kobla Kwashi was appointed as the liquidator of the 4 companies. The court also authorized Kwashi to seize and take into his possession the assets and funds of Kama. The liquidator was ordered to file periodic reports with the court every after 6 months. The matter was before Judge Qinisile Mabuza. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela, High Court.
After noticing the rapid spread of COVID-19 infections in the Shiselweni region, Doctors Without Borders organization MSF, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, is building home-based care facilities in remote communities. This was announced by MSF's head of mission in the kingdom, Dr. Bernard Kachberger.
Doctors Without Borders MSF is in the process of constructing 3 home-based care centers at Mzimvubu, Ndutwagazi and Mgambeni in the Shiselweni region. The organization's head of mission, Dr. Bernard Kachberger, says these facilities are aimed at giving relief to Eswatini's already overwhelmed healthcare system, as well as strengthening immediate healthcare for COVID-19 infected people in remote areas of the Shiselweni region. Kachberger says this is a proactive step in anticipation of the 3rd wave of the coronavirus.
Corona cases have increased in the recent months, and it wasn't easy anymore for other home-based care teams in the country to attend to patients in Shiselweni region. Therefore, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, we decided to establish now 2 home-based care teams who are going to the homes of patients with corona in order to provide medical support. Our focus is in the Shiselweni region, and this is where MSF has been working during the last years and will continue to support the Shiselweni region with home-based care. The focus, of course, is on corona, but we also know that many patients infected with corona, they are specifically at high risk if they have other conditions. So what we also offer at the same time is testing for HIV, we screen for tuberculosis, and we also test for other non-communicable diseases. This can be like diseases of hypertension or diabetes.
Shiselweni 1 constituency councillor Bafana Botva Sitole thanks Doctors Without Borders for including Mzimvubu area amongst areas benefiting from the program.
Kungaba kubonga kakhulu tinintengo enyama laba baka MSF lababita ukuthi bodokotela labengenamncele.
Dr. Bernard Kachberger says he is confident that these facilities will provide quality healthcare and that Eswatini will soon flatten the high COVID-19 infection rate and mortality curve. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Sifiso Nxumalo with Smuva Shongwe, Mzimvubu.
The headline inflation rate decreased to 4.6% in December last year from 4.9% in November the same year. Recent developments that occurred in the country's financial space are contained in the monetary policy statement released by the central bank last week.
Following the monetary policy statement issued by the Central Bank of Eswatini that the headline inflation rate decreased to 4.6% in December last year from 4.9% in November the same year, Temgosi Dube, who is an economist, gives an explanation on how these numbers affect the people of Eswatini's daily lives.
There's the headline inflation and the core inflation. The core inflation excludes food and energy in the computation. However, if we talk of the headline, it includes food and energy in the computation. So basically, the headline inflation is a good indicator of how the prices have changed over a given period of time. So if the central bank or the statistics office is reporting that the headline inflation has declined, it basically means in the basket of commodities that they use in calculating the index, there has been a fall in 1 or 2 of those commodities. So what it actually basically means, it's not necessarily saying this is how we're going to spend, but an indicator, this is how things are. If we say the inflation rate or consumer price index is going down, it basically means there has been a fall in one or two of those commodities in that particular basket. But that doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money, but it means just be cautious and do those necessary changes if you need to.
The Minister of Finance, Neil Rickenberg, has said Eswatini's economy increased by 1.3% in the third quarter last year when compared to the same period in 2019. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Ndlangamandla with Muzim Konda in Babane.
The Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority invites all micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, to participate in a virtual training whose main focus will be on business export and readiness. Virtual training sessions will take place in February and March this year.
With an aim of ensuring that SMEs in Eswatini are fully capacitated in exporting their products using the latest technology, the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority (IPA) has facilitated a virtual training for SMEs which will be held in February and March this year. IPA's head of trade, Bongani Njangase, says most businesses in Eswatini do meet the regional and international standards.
We are inviting local business, the business community, SMEs, and especially to come for the training. It is an export readiness training that aims to facilitate and upskill our business people so that they are able to produce and market their products all over the world. The training, which will be mainly focusing on the quality of production, the production of the volumes that are necessary to meet external demands, also looking at branding and market and packaging, such that your products are suitable for the different markets all over the world. We'll also be focusing on understanding the different markets globally and internationally, because you know that Asian markets would differ from the European market. The European market differs from the African market. The African market as a whole differs from Eswatini market. So your product as a producer must meet a specific market. You must package it, you must produce it to the expectation of that market.
He says they do not categorize businesses. Anyone is welcome to be part of the training.
Do not have a cutoff point for SMEs or for the different sectors. We are inviting everyone who's producing something, who is interested in exporting their products to international markets.
Njangase says they will also do follow-ups to ensure sustainability of the businesses after the training. I am Kian MCB for Eswatini TV News, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport is assessing the state of the country's roads to determine the severity of the damage caused by the recent heavy rainfalls in Eswatini, which came as a result of tropical cyclone Eloise, which made landfall in neighboring countries. This is an update given by the Chief Roads Engineer Vincent Dlamini, who says the assessment will help determine the level of interventions which the ministry must take.
Ministry of Public Works and Transport says it will fix roads damaged by the recent storms in areas where people have been cut off from essential services. Vincent Dlamini, who is the Chief Roads Engineer, says this includes roads connecting communities to schools and healthcare institutions.
My officers took lena na lena eveni ayabuka ukuthi umonakalo emgwaqweni ubenganani.
Our officers are already on the ground assessing the state of the roads in different parts of the country. This will help us figure out how we are going to fix the roads in terms of human resource and finances. The ministry currently has heavy plant machinery needed for fixing the roads, although there are those that have mechanical problems. There is also the issue of fueling, which we have to consider. The ministry is doing all it can to bring the situation back to normal.
He urges Emaswati to be patient as the process of fixing all the damaged roads could cost millions of emalangeni. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Nelson Ndlangamandla with Muzim Konda in Babane.
An inmate who was found guilty of murdering a man and dumping him at Mapotweni Dam has filed a bail application pending appeal. Patrick Bakemkumbane says he has high prospects of success in his appeal. He claims that there is no evidence suggesting he is the one who inflicted the fatal blow to the body of the deceased.
Patrick Bakem Kumbane, who is employed at the Sitegi National Court, was convicted last year for the murder of Musa Mazia in 2017. He committed this offense with 4 others. The 5 were last year convicted and sentenced to 12 years imprisonment without an option of a fine. They have since appealed the decision at the Supreme Court. Mkumbane says he has great prospects of success on appeal. He claims that this is so because the High Court erred in law and in fact by returning the verdict of guilty for murder when there was no evidence directly or otherwise showing that he killed Mazia. Mkumbane alleges that the court drew inference that the deceased died as a result of being assaulted and thereafter dumped at the Mapotweni Dam. He claims that the court erred in law and in fact by concluding that he participated in the killing of the deceased when there is no evidence showing that he inflicted a fatal blow to the body of the deceased. Mkumbane also claims that there is no evidence showing that he assaulted the deceased and that he used either his hands and or certain objects in the process. He further claims that he was convicted on circumstantial evidence and the inference the court drew was a one-sided approach. It was Mkumbane's further claim that the deceased may have drowned because he was somehow intoxicated. He added that the deceased disappeared for some days before he was found floating in the dam already dead. Mkumbane submitted that he would comply with bail conditions if granted same. He claims to be ill and in danger of contracting the deadly coronavirus. Mkumbane is represented by Osborne Zima in the matter. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, High Court.
And now we'll have a look at news-making international headlines. United States of America-based biotechnology company Moderna says preliminary studies show that its COVID-19 vaccine will remain effective against new variants of the disease found in the United Kingdom and in South Africa. The company says out of the abundance of precaution, it will further develop a booster dose of its vaccine that could combat emerging COVID-19 variants. UK regulators have already approved Moderna's vaccine for the National Health Service.
The variant of COVID-19 circulating in South Africa has only just made its way to France, but authorities are still considering it a serious threat. Firstly, because the strain is thought to be more contagious than the original. Even if there haven't been studies on the matter, it seems to be transmitted more quickly. The variant was first detected in South Africa in October, and according to officials, it is now the dominant strain in circulation. It's a particular concern for French overseas territories in regular contact with South Africa.
Il faut restreindre de façon drastique nos relations avec l'Afrique du Sud. C'est vrai pour la métropole, c'est encore plus vrai pour La Réunion et pour Mayotte.
Compared to the variant that is taking hold in the United Kingdom, there's so far no evidence that this one is more contagious or that it causes more severe symptoms.
On a peu d'indications, mais a priori, il n'y a pas de données qui vont dans le sens d'une augmentation de la sévérité. La présentation clinique est la même.
There's further concern over the variant's potential threat to COVID-19 vaccines. The specific mutation of the South African strain may be less responsive to the shots, but not totally resistant, according to virologists.
Il ne faut pas trop s'inquiéter encore parce que la vaccination induit des réponses anticorps et également cellulaires très larges. Et donc probablement, même si la sensibilité est un peu réduite, il y aura quand même une sensibilité à la vaccination.
In the coming weeks, France will examine samples of PCR tests for both the British and South African variants of the virus.
A very good evening once again. You're still watching Eswatini TV. Now let's take a look at our sports news. President of the Oyama Kai Karate Association in Eswatini, Bongani Nzabanzaba, says the suspension of their sport because of COVID-19 has negatively impacted them, especially since this sport is a way of life to those who engage in it. Nzabanzaba was speaking in an interview with Eswatini TV sports journalist in Babane.
Karate is among the sporting courts that have not been active since all sporting courts were suspended after the coronavirus outbreak in March 2020. It has been almost a year since they hosted or attended any competition locally or internationally, where they usually represent the country well by coming home with medals. The association president, Sensei Bongani Nzabanzaba, says karate is their way of life.
Kuba affectile kakhulu badlali lokuhlala nje ngoba vele sine sithi ikarate i-way of life ingiyona ndlela yokuphila.
Nzabanzaba says their players have been greatly affected by staying idle, because to them karate is their way of life, and to improve you need to be training at all time. And for that reason they feel they have been affected, because even if they are able to train on their own, you still need instructors to show you directions in order for you to improve. And they also need to train as a team, not just individually.
Vele ngidawusho ukuthi eqinisweni eliphelele kusithinzile sonke kwekuthi sijime singasijime sodwana singajime as a team vele kusiphazamisile kakhulu.
Nzabanzaba says they will only need just a month to be able to be back to their full fitness and be ready to once again compete internationally. He also encouraged karatekas to continue with their trainings and also observe all the regulation put in place by the government to fight the spread of coronavirus. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patizum Sibi, Mbabane.
That's all for now. Before we conclude, let's have a relook at tonight's headlines. The acting minister of ICT has tasked the new Eswatini TV board to ensure that all people in the kingdom and especially students access critical content like home study programs at all times. Form 5 students will receive their results first ahead of Form 3 and Grade 7 this year. The High Court has ordered that 4 companies owned by businessman Makawe Gama be liquidated. And with that, we sum up our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.
At Spar, we're here for you with 3 days of super deals and incredible savings across the store. Get Bokoma Wheat Mix for just $17.99 and 1.5-litre liquid fruit for only $17.99. It's 3 days of incredible savings only at Spar.
It's twice as nice with a 2-pack of Doral deodorant for her or for him. Only $29.99. Why pay more? Get more in store just for you. Life's better with Pep.
At Spar, we're here for you with 3 days of super deals and incredible savings across the store. Get Spar IQF mixed chicken portions for just $119.99 and Koo baked beans in tomato sauce. Buy 2 for only 16 emalangeni. It's 3 days of incredible savings only at Spar.